Hello, welcome to Soothe Yourself. Today I have the joy to converse with Marylynn, a psychotherapist and stress management coach and consultant. Hi, and we'll be talking about how to help ourselves to not be so stressed when we are dedicating our lives to service to others. Thank you so much for being here today, Marylynn.
Wow, thank you so much for allowing me to be here on this platform, Soothe Yourself podcast. Once again, I am Marylynn Lawrence. I am a licensed clinical social worker and a stress management coach and consultant. And I am the CEO and the founder of Motivating and Transforming Lives LLC. So thank you for just allowing me to share my story and supports and services to your audience when it comes to stress management, as well as when it comes to, caregivers' responsibilities, especially caregivers for aging parents.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted to talk to you and have this conversation available to others because it's a very important topic. We are givers, we give ourselves our time, our love, especially to family members. And it comes a point where really to a point where we need help. So we should
Mhm.
learn from you ways that we can prevent that from happening. So share with us, please, a little more how you got to this wonderful field and what things can you share with us?
Oh, most definitely. It's like my pleasure because the way I tell you, it was part of my journey. And sometimes we don't pick the journeys that we go on. But I always want to remind the audience and even friends and family that caring for your parents shouldn't cost you your sanity or your health, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we get so busy doing everything for everyone, but we tend to forget about ourselves. So my journey began back in 2012 when I lost my stepfather. And
Um,
being only child, I quickly became the caregiver of my mom, who was later diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia.
oh,
Now,
goodness.
so one of the things I realized about caregiving that is not something that you planned for. It's something that happens, and when it's there, it's like you have to get ready to put on the armor of the responsibility that comes with it. So then, therefore, being an only child, amongst my other roles in life, a mother, work full time. I live in a different state than my mom does. Being able to
Oh,
commute and travel and commute to her was just an added on responsibility for me, right? So I,
yeah.
I get to share my story and support others to let them know, like, listen, you don't have to do this alone. And I've learned through my journey the importance of support system, right? The importance of community help, because that definitely is like essential when it comes to caregiving.
Yes.
So, one of the things that I found myself like struggling with was managing and balancing all my responsibilities, including taking care of me in the process of being a caregiver, right? So then, therefore, I tell people all the time, you are part of the process of taking care of your parents or being a caregiver in general, because that's
Mm.
an essential part of the process. Because without you, they don't have anything else. And who's going to be able to lean on and take care of them if they don't have you? Right. So then this is part of my journey. And throughout, as I remember, throughout my journey, like I used to tell myself, I never asked for help because I felt
Mm.
like she was my priority and no one else's. And then it becomes a sense of guilt that you like all these different emotions, the sense of overwhelm, over responsibility, the sense of guilt, knowing that if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? So there's so many different beliefs that we tell ourselves while we're in a process that we don't have to deal with it all by ourselves. And this is why I've learned that having a support system is key when it comes to caregiving.
It's absolutely so important to realize. And I'm glad you shared that part, because when we find ourselves in a situation like that, the person we're caring for, our family member, we are all
Mm-hmm.
they have. But who do we have to help us be
Mm,
strong enough to continue to provide our help and service to the loving parent or family member who needs us? So it's wonderful that you share that. And of course, having a a
mm,
good coach, a
mm,
good person is also important. So there's no shame in saying, you know what, I'm going to need to delegate and I'm going to need to take care of
mm.
myself also, right?
Absolutely, because without you, how is the process going to continue? And that's the
Mhm.
point, being able to not feel guilty and give yourself the permission to ask for help, the permission to seek rest when you need it, to be able to rejuvenate and do the things that you need to do for yourself and for that family and for that parent and for your children and for your husband,
Yes.
right? And knowing that you're not alone in the process gives you a sense of relief, knowing that you can lean on and know that you have a community, a supportive system through the process.
We cannot do that all by ourselves. There are some roles, some necessities that some needs our loving parent, family member who needs us. They may have some needs we cannot meet. With all our love
Mm-hmm.
and our availability to be there, even 24/7, we might not be able to provide the medical care or the assistance they need. I'm a petite person. I wouldn't be able to lift an older family member.
That
Yet,
get in a way that we can do it all by ourselves. And
yes,
when you're in the thick of it, right? That's when you don't see clear.
no,
You don't see clear, but you just see that what's happening now and that I need to be there. And this is where the sense of guilt comes in, because if I do for myself and I feel guilty, right, that I should be doing for them. And there's a cycle of different emotions that one faces when they're in that situation. And this is where I step in and help them to normalize that process, right? To normalize that it's okay to seek support. It's okay to ask for help, because sometimes they feel like help is asking for help can be so vulnerable, as if you're incompetent and you can't do it.
yes.
I'll share a story with you. So I'm my mom's only child, so only primary caregiver. And it was a moment where she lives in New York, I live in New Jersey, and I had to hire like someone to stay with her overnight because she became a risk. Like, she was leaving out to go outside in the middle of the night, and I just couldn't risk it.
Mm,
So I had somebody consistently going there to see her, watching over her, staying with her overnight. Then one day, the person came to me and was like, I found another job
oh,
and I could no longer take care of your mom. And I can't tell you the breakdown. It was like devastating. Like, what? So what's gonna, how this gonna, and it was a bunch of questions and a bunch of uncertainty that I said, you know what? I have to be vulnerable at this moment to pick up the phone and ask family members to support me. And
yes.
that's the least you can do at the moment, is to ask. Because asking for help doesn't mean that doesn't is not a sense of weakness. And that's what a lot of people get it mistaken. That it's weakness when you ask. But it's a strength, because Francesca, I would tell you this. We were created to be in community, not
True.
to walk alone in this
Hmm.
process as believers, right? As
Yes.
believers, we were created to be in community. And sometimes we feel like we can do this all by ourselves, where it's community support system.
Indeed. Oh, I meant to that because it's easy to say, well, God takes care of things, so I will just pray and handle it myself. Well, that's a lack of trust in the Lord as well, because He provides us with a community. He didn't create little islands and every individual in
Mhm.
an island, right? We are sharing a space, we are sharing communities, we are each other's support. So it's important to realize that. And it is tough. I agree with you. Realization of saying, I have to ask for help. It
Mhm.
doesn't come easy, but if we realize that that's a tool the Lord is asking. And one thought I just had is if we ask
Sure.
for help, the
Mhm.
person who's going to help us, maybe having that calling to be an instrument for us. If we don't ask, we are removing the grace from that person that she or he will receive in helping us.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so it's almost a selfish act not to ask for help.
Not to ask. Yeah, but it's also makes a person feel vulnerable because another thing that's important when it comes to being able to ask for help, like nobody wants rejection,
Yeah,
right? Nobody wants to hear, no, I can't do it. So then, therefore, I'm going to take the armor on by myself and do the responsibilities. And that's where I couldn't. I couldn't. I had to, get someone to, even like resources out there to support me in helping me, move the process with taking care of mom. Right. So
absolutely.
I provide resources. And as a clinician, you know how that is. That's what we do. We provide resources and be of service to people to help them, So I'm a how would I say it, multi-resourceful person when it comes to that.
Yes, I know, and it's a wonderful quality of yours. And the other thing that you are able to do and to provide, I know it's motivating people, right? Because there is also, we need to talk also a little bit about the emotional challenge and roller coaster that person finds himself or herself when they're trying to help, to serve,
Mm-hmm.
and be it assisting a family member. And sometimes we need that extra motivation to say, you need to take care of yourself. You need to
Mm-hmm.
ask for help. And so I'd like to know more about the aspect of your service. I know you're wearing a beautiful shirt that says motivating
What a
and transforming
transforming.
lives. Beautiful. And that's
And this
your
is,
calling, your ministry, and that's your business, correct?
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
And on top of being a coach consultant, I love to pair this with, and you spoke about, the different emotions and the roller coaster that one goes through. And being a stress management consultant and coach, I get to bring these tools to people because I just want to let you know this is audience, listen to me clearly. Listen to me clearly. Stress is not something that goes away. It will always be present as long as we are alive. And the stresses of life will continue as long as we're present. So, therefore, being able to manage it in a healthy way is what's going to support you in the long way. Because chronic health can cause, chronic stress can cause medical stress, medical diseases, conditions, and that
Mhm.
you don't want to experience, right? Because emotions are part of who we are. We get to experience them and we get to relieve them in a way that's healthy for us. And this is where I pull in my expertise on stress management to support my clients, to support
Mhm.
people who needs a little technique throughout the day.
Yes. Can you share a little bit more about some of the techniques you have in your
Oh yeah,
pocket?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I one of the my to go to. Okay, first of all, I have like a couple to go to. The first one is breath work. Breath work is important. And I say that because I'm going to ask you, without breath, what are we? We're dead. We're non-existent. We're not living, right? But it's the
Mhm.
way you do breath work to respond to the body and the systems in our body. So breath work is definitely a key. to learning how to, to regulate your emotions, regulate your system. Breath work, that's number one, always to go to. And I say that because we take it lightly when we're going through something. And I know you've heard this before when somebody says, just breathe. And you're at the moment, you're like, what do you mean I'm breathing? But technically it's the way that we breathe that helps us to immediately calm down. I like to tell my people that, and sometimes it goes as far as educating a buy-in system to understand what's happening in our system when we do diaphragmic breath work, because there's this large nervous system in our body called the parasympathetic nervous system, right? That's the biggest, largest nerve system that we have in our body. And it works along with the diaphragmic breath work, right? I can go deeper and deeper into this, but definitely breath work is my number one to go to strategy and techniques to help deregulate the system or whatever emotions you're going through at the moment. The second one is called a technique called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. It's a form of tapping, okay? Tapping into there's certain parts in our bodies that we can tap to help us relieve some of the stress and emotions that we're going through. So it's called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, tapping. Yeah.
That's fascinating. So by tapping gently on some parts of our bodies, we are calming that part of the
called
body.
Like they recommend you to. I have two versions of it. There's a faster EFT, which is like just tapping into some of the acupuncture points in our body that regulates some of the emotional states that we go through, right? So it's called tapping. It's called faster. Like sometimes I live in New York. I don't know about where you live in. New Yorkers, we are always on the go.
Yes.
Okay. I work in New York and live in New Jersey. So we're always fast going. So we need something fast. We don't need something long drawn throughout the day. We need to just get it going and move. All right. So it's called faster EFT. And it's just tapping into, acupuncture points in our bodies to help us quickly calm down. And it's an amazing tool. But of course, with everything that you do is practice. Practice, repetition is the mother of all skills. If you're learning something, you're not going to just do it one time and say it's not working. You're not going to do it 2 times and say it's not working. You have to do it multiple times and becomes repetition. So your brain and your neurons in the brains is creating new neurons in the brain to say, this is what we're doing.
Yes, a new pattern of habits, new pattern of emotions.
New pattern. Yes, absolutely. So these are like my two go-to fast techniques to help us to regulate our emotions, anxiety, stress, whatever it is.
Breathing is really, we don't consider it that important because we don't think about it while we do it, but it is vital. It really is our lifeline. And I even have it on the wall. Just breathe.
Just breathe.
But it's important.
It's breathing in the right way, though.
Yes.
Not just shallow breathing. That's not going to do the work.
Yes. I would say breathing is at the core of it. Hint, because you have to go through the diaphragm in your core area, right? So it is really how you want to think about it. Maybe if you're listening and you're like, oh, well, breathing well versus not breathing well. I'm breathing. Well, listen to this. What we're saying here is really important. I have a teeny tiny background as a singer, and I know the difference when you breathe the right way and when you don't. The quality of your voice changes because the breathing is really emotion that has to be perfected in a way. You really need to realize it will be aware also, right? Because sometimes the fact that we're like, oh yeah, just breathe, sure.
Exactly.
What was that?
Right? That's crazy. Yes,
but it's how we go through it. Awareness of where the air you inhale in and when you exhale it, where is it in your body? And I'm fascinated by the tapping thing. But you mentioned acupuncture. I just want to make sure you don't have actual needles acupuncture. It's the
No.
acupuncture
It's the
parts, the
points,
spots
the
in the.
points in the
Got it. I
body.
love it now.
Yes. And let me say this, and let me tell you something. You can go to fastereft.com to learn the techniques, and there's
Mhm.
tons of videos on YouTube where you can actually go and research EFT, emotional freedom technique, tapping, to
Mhm.
get to just see how it works. Or you can actually book a call with me and we could tap together. That's
That would be
definitely an
fantastic. Let's do
option.
some tap dancing. I love that. In all seriousness, the tap dancing is interesting because it made me realize sometimes we don't think about ourselves as made of what we don't see, right? But we have organs within. We have a beautiful brain. We have a heart filled with emotions as well. So if we don't take care of ourselves, whether it's tapping or breathing or both, we don't take care of parts of ourselves that we don't see. And what happens probably is as we get to a point where it's a system failure, we get the message from our body, can't handle this anymore, overloaded. And so it's important to address those.
I love that you said that because it's so important to be able to, I like to call it taking care of yourself holistically, right? What does that mean? Holistic approach is your whole body, mind, and soul, right? Because everything is one system. So then, therefore, if you take care of one, it's going to be a domino effect with everything else. So, holistic approach to taking care of yourself is such a healthy way to be able to move forward in the process.
Absolutely. And then you will feel like dancing. So
you feel you feel joyful, cheerful, and all the high grading vibrational states. Yes.
absolutely. Where people could actually find you, maybe book a call with you.
Oh, absolutely. There's I have a website called motivate2transform.com. So it's motivate and the number two transform.com.
Mhm.
Or you can email me at mlawrence, which is MLAWRENCE at motivate2transform.com. I'm also on social media, which is I'm also on Instagram, and you can catch me on Instagram at Marylynn Lawrence at Instagram. And you can also catch me on Facebook and LinkedIn as well, underneath Marylynn Lawrence.
Check it out in the description of the episode. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Marylynn, for being with me today. I know what you shared was very helpful to me. So hopefully you all who listened got something that resonated with you and made you think twice about taking the full responsibility of taking care of somebody without taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And definitely feel free to book your relief call with me. And I'm here to support you. And we can create a community to support one another because you do not have to do it all alone.
Wonderful. So you heard it directly from Marylynn. Thank you again for listening. And remember to breathe, smile, and do something to soothe yourself today.